Hi, beloveds. Good morning. Well, it's a morning for me in Silver Spring, Maryland. May not be for you, but I hope you're doing well. Please be sure to share with me in the comments any questions you have or how you think about this video. I'd appreciate the feedback. On my mind today that I want to share with you is about dying. It's about working. Do you want to work until you die? Do you? When I think about that question for myself, to me, I think about, well, it depends. What do I mean by work? So if the work that I'm doing is bringing me joy, if it's meaningful to me, if the work that I'm doing is fulfilling my calling, the reason that I've been put here on earth, then you know what? Sure, I'll work until I die because then it doesn't really feel like work. Or when we think about the word work, we think it always has to mean paid work, but it's probably a good idea not to think about it that way. So we could distinguish between paid employment and just doing things that bring you joy, doing things that connect with your calling. And in some of the work I do, I like to connect what someone's calling is, what their joy is, their purpose for earth with their paid employment. But it doesn't always end up that way. Sometimes I can help them to get a really good income, a really good job that they enjoy and they like, that allows them the time and the money to actually pursue and do what their calling is. So it's not always one thing or the other. There's other ways to be able to have the time and freedom to follow your calling and do what you're passionate about. But in any case, my parents, they literally worked until they got too sick to work, both of them. My mom, she worked in a hospital and she loved that work. She loved her work a lot, and she ended up going to the emergency room in the hospital she was working at. It would happen once every other month, and then it became once a month, and then twice a month, and 3 times, 4 times a month. And then it was just like, you know what? She needs to retire because she physically cannot work anymore. My father, he was at work and he had a stroke. And he can't work anymore. So both of my parents literally worked until they were just too sick to work. They never really had a chance to have that retirement, that, oh, I can't wait till I retire so I can travel and do this, that, and the other. They didn't get that. They did some traveling, before this happened. I remember growing up, we did vacation at least once a year for a few years. But in any case, my point is, my parents worked until they were just too sick to work. And I work with people who, in terms of clients, I have clients who literally, the way that they're set up now, they will work until they die. And that's not what the goal is. So I'm helping them to move on from that. And a part of that is, again, people will be happy to work until they die if the work is bringing them joy. But if it's work in terms of work that you don't really enjoy, where you're not being respected at work, where you're not being paid what you're worth, no one that I know wants to work until they die in that kind of situation. So what is, if you look at the trajectory that you're on now, are you going to end up working until you die? Are you going to end up working until you're literally too sick to work anymore? If you're working in like, an Amazon warehouse or someplace that has a lot of physical requirements, at some point you just won't be able to do that work anymore. So what's your plan? What's your plan? I know someone who they worked for 30 years in nonprofits, and that was their paid employment. And you know what? When they retired, now they split their time between 3 different nonprofits, not the same ones they worked for, but 3 other nonprofits. One dealing with immigration, because this person speaks Spanish, so they wanted to use their skills to help Spanish speakers, and they do law work, helping. It's a well, anyway. There are 3 nonprofits. I can explain them, but I won't. I don't need to get into it. But the point is that the work that they did, that they were paid for, they loved it. It was fulfilling. And then when they retired, they wanted to continue to do similar work because it fulfilled them. So they're not going to be working at a job they don't like until they die. They will be doing things that are fulfilling to them. It is work, and that's holy work, and work that is meaningful and brings joy. That's the kind of work that you want to do, let's say until you die. So think about, if you're in retail, if you're in a job that doesn't offer any benefits, that's not paying you what you should be paid, all of this impacts your ability to be able to not work until you die, not work until you get sick. So be really careful about that. Having a job that you enjoy, having a job that pays you well, isn't something to keep putting off until later. The more you put it off, the harder it is to do. So go ahead and if this is something you want to do, go ahead and do it ASAP. Okay, don't work until you die. Don't do work that you don't enjoy until you die. Do work that fulfills you. And I don't want to see you work until you're literally, too sick to work. It's sad. It's really sad. Okay, don't let that be you. All right, my friends, take care and see you next time. And comment because I would love to see your comments. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself, but it really touches my heart to share with you all. So please let me know and forward to your friends, anyone else you think could benefit. Take care.